Hit it. Hit it.
Hey,
Hey.
hello.
Aloha,
Hello,
everybody.
everyone.
Hello, hello, hello.
I have to
Happy
remember
My
to
New
hit.
screen
Year.
is flickering.
I have to remember to hit on the comments tab inside StreamYard because I think the last time I realized, I thought, why are we getting any chats? I was just on the private side. That's so I could see it was only us three. No one was chatting. So there was all kinds of
Oh,
comments. I just wasn't seeing any.
yep.
So,
Yep.
how's everyone doing?
Hopefully, everybody had a good new year and all that good stuff.
Hmm.
Yes, I did.
Very nice.
Certainly, we were busy. This was actually a bit of a different year for me. A little bit the Christmas. I think it's because we were traveling over Thanksgiving, then we traveled on New Year on Christmas Eve. No one. We didn't go anywhere on New Year's Eve, and no one was over. So it was travel. We don't normally go anywhere during those holidays. People come to our house a lot of times. So we did have people here on Christmas, but we were gone during Thanksgiving and also during Christmas Eve all day. So it was a bit different for me. I didn't decorate near as much. I was minimalist this year, Chad. We did
Good deal.
minimalist. I did minimalist on Christmas decorations and stuff like that. My wife actually decorated our tree, so I usually do that. But and we did go
See, I usually
minimalist.
get
No
the
lights this
tree
year. We just
down.
had decorations. No lights. So
I
it was
always get the
different.
tree down. The girls decorate it, and then I do the outside.
Yeah. Now,
Nice.
see, our youngest two daughters did it for years when they were both at home, but they've both been married for our youngest for
Yeah.
2.5, 3 years now. So our oldest 10 years.
See,
She's
Dave and
gonna
I are
be.
like, our kids are going back to school tomorrow. We're both in that position of
Right?
like
I
busy with
have
getting the kids back to routine and school. And
I have grandkids in school. No
yeah.
no children in school any longer.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So we
But
we
I look good for 82.
Yeah. There's the what show is it? The Monster Show, the one with Kurt Russell. And I guess he skipped. I don't know if you've been watching that on Apple TV. It's like the new Godzilla one.
It
It's on
has Kurt
Apple TV.
Russell.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yep. I'm gonna see.
how old is he? How old's he now?
He's
I don't
fairly
know.
old.
It's called Monarch Legacy of Monsters. But
I'll have to
he went
check that
down like in
out.
this underworld and like got to skip like 30 years or 20 years or something in the show, obviously.
Hmm.
But it's pretty good so far. But it made
My
me think
daughter
of that
sent
when
me
you're
a
talking about your age.
texted me a picture from a thrift store or something in Oklahoma City a couple weeks ago, and it was an action figure of Kurt Russell from Big Trouble in Little China, which
Mm,
actually was a really neat. I don't know if you've seen that movie, but it came
yeah.
out. Yeah, I really liked it. We have it on DVD, I think so. But it was just wild. I never knew they had action figures at all. But yeah, it was still in the package and everything. She just
Oh,
sent me
cool.
That's
that. So
funny.
she didn't
That's
buy it
pretty
for me.
cool.
Pretty disappointing. But
Well, I know here, even in Phoenix, it was 32 degrees for some of you out there from other places, even here in the desert where it gets 120. We're figuring that out in Celsius. So it is that 48 is the high and then down to 0 in the winter. We get quite the shifts here.
Crazy jumps.
it
So I
is.
haven't been hiking the last 10 days just because it's been too wet and cold and I'm a
Yeah,
wimp.
yeah. It's snowing here right now. Freezing rain and snow the next couple days, and Friday is supposed to be. I think currently the forecast is 6 or 7 inches. So we'll see.
Wow.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
don't
it's just
usually
be so
that.
cold here.
Yeah, we get snow, but 7 or 8 or more inches at one time is a fair amount for us to get. We've gotten 20, but that's pretty rare. It doesn't happen very often. So yeah, you haven't been hiking because of the weather. I've not
No.
been running any sprints, I can tell you that. I've been working a little bit, getting firewood. So we do have a wood stove that we try to burn as long as I keep wood cut, and helps with the electric bill. So, and we actually really like it. We had one of our daughters and son-in-law was down Sunday, and it's one of the things for us. It seems perfectly normal. We have a fairly small house, but the wood stove is in the front room. Well, it's nothing for me to run it up. The temperature in the front room would be 77, 79 degrees. Other people come over and it's like, man, it is hot in here. Well, not for us, right? Because it's just normal. Because it's just we're just burning wood, and so we're not running the electric furnace or anything, and so it'll be warm. So when they first got here, I tried not to get it too warm, and it was about 73 in the front room, which is about how they keep their house. And they thought they thought, oh, she might be a little cool. Maybe we should put some pants on her. It wasn't very long. It's like 79 in there. And they're like, okay, it's hot. So yeah. It's the one thing. There's not a thermostat. I mean, you can close the fire down, but it's not an exact science on that. So you just deal with what it is. So.
Yep. So have you been doing your push-ups then, Dave?
I would like to say yes, but
the holidays
me
got
too.
The best of us.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'd like to say yes.
So I didn't cheat food-wise at all over the holidays, but I cheat lack of exercise-wise. So that's just kind of middle of December, I think, is the last time I did a push-up.
Oh, okay. No, and Chad, you probably didn't. Did you go off plan very much during the holidays?
Not really. Like I said, I test things about once a year. So what I tested was like this pumpkin cheesecake, and I had I think 2 bites of this pumpkin cheesecake. And I used to like graham cracker crust. Now I don't like it. I can see why people like the pumpkin cheesecake because it's that kind of cheesecake flavor, but I didn't like the pumpkin side of it. The only other thing I had is a bite of pizza, and I was curious why is because we used to make homemade pizza, like make the dough from scratch and everything. And I tried it and it actually wasn't bad. But when I try other pizza from stores, I don't really like it. And then my kid's birthday, and I think I already covered that from before anyway. We were on after my kid and the one bite of cake and then a couple of sips of eggnog. And one thing I did do to test because I was curious is I had eggnog for 4 days, but only like a sip, So it was the first day, didn't really like it, kind of thick, and it did get slowly better. So and we talked about that, Dave, if you kind of go down that slippery slope. So I had that for a bit. And the only thing I've been really doing is more dairy and cream because I've been doing so much lamb and I don't think it's got enough fat. And the butter thing, I've eaten a bunch. So I've been eating a bit more cream and freezing it. I mix it with collagen, so it gets really thick. And it's kind of good that way. But no, besides that, I haven't. The one thing I'm doing, I'm going to make a video on is I've been making a lot of bone broth. So out of all the little lamb bones, because I've been buying the little lamb chops that are they're just little T-bones. So I get this little fillet that's this big and then a little New York lamb strip, basically. But I've been taking all the bones and I get about 5 16-ounce thing. I'm actually liking it. I'm actually liking the lamb bone broth, and it's good because when it's out of the fridge, I mean, it's a solid gelatinous, so it's, you know what I mean, good, hearty, thick.
Yeah. So I actually one of the videos I have on the menu on tap is about the holiday. So I actually normally, which you guys know, and probably anybody watching will know, I've said it many times, but normally my rule is holidays, there are no rules. But you don't practice the 12 days of Christmas, right? It's like on Christmas, if you want to eat something, you eat it. I ate way more trash through the holiday season. And again, partly because we were gone. So, at Thanksgiving, we weren't here. So we were here on Thursday, which was Thanksgiving, but we left Friday morning until Sunday. We were in Oklahoma City at one of our daughters and son-in-laws. So, in years before, one of the things that I always did was my wife would make homemade sugar cookies and homemade all kinds of stuff. our two youngest daughters, especially, they make all kinds of stuff, right? And so they've made me homemade sugar cookies and homemade macaroons and homemade homemade chocolate truffles, all kinds of stuff, right? So I certainly had more of that stuff, and I haven't for quite some time. Since last June, I hadn't had anything. Last year, I had virtually nothing until we hit the holiday season. I mean, I eat stuff that you guys don't eat normally anyway. So blueberries, I probably eat more nuts than you guys and stuff like that. But
more than us, I don't eat any.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, you guys don't eat any, so I eat more
one
than
nut,
you.
and it would be more. I did try pistachios again a while, but yeah, go ahead.
So I eat more outside of just super strict carnivore than you guys anyway, right? But no, it'd been a long time since I had any junk until we rolled up on Thanksgiving. And so I really did discover a few things about that. I mean, one of them is it is extremely easy to fall back into that if you're not careful. Like, I don't normally get cravings for that kind of stuff, but you eat it once or twice and then immediately. And that's why in the past, I've always had that thing. It's like one day you can just do it, but the next day you have to immediately stop because you don't have much issues. But you just hit the Thanksgiving weekend, right? And you have sugar cookies on one day, and then you eat the homemade, whatever macaroons the next day, and then you have pecan pie on Sunday, and it's like 3, 4, 5, 6 days later, I still wanted to eat more of that stuff, right?
Yeah,
And that really is at least for me, that's a real thing. So you immediately have those cravings, and it absolutely jacks your appetite up, like way up, right? I would go from not being hungry, but once, sometimes twice a day to, I'm hungry at 10 o'clock in the morning instead of at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. You want to eat again at 8 o'clock at night, even though you ate at 5:30 or 6, right? And so you ate until you were stuffed, but now you got the munchies later on. All of that stuff is, which I know is one of the reasons why people just never deviate. Dave spoke about that a couple of weeks ago. It's like, no, I just don't ever go there because, I don't want to deal with the cravings, nor if you have pain issues or other kind of health issues. Obviously, that's something else. But it absolutely is easy to fall in. And someone mentioned just a little bit ago about, you have the comment up there. Sweets don't taste that good.
Yeah.
This is the other thing.
The
first time after 4, 5, 6 months, I eat something like that, it almost hurts my stomach. Now, the taste is good to me, right? But you can feel it. It's almost like when you were a little kid, they'd say, "Don't eat all that," you make your stomach hurt. That sugar almost hurts my stomach initially, and then, but that goes away as well. Like 2 days in, there's no issues anymore, and the cravings absolutely. So then you really have to determine not to do that. So anyway, I'm going to talk about that some in a video very soon, just surviving the holidays. And it's just one of those things that people have to be so aware of. You start down that road, and if you're not careful, you're going to end up someplace you don't want to be, right?
Just spirals out of control.
Yeah, spirals out of, and it's easy to say, "Oh, well, I'm just going to get back on track next Monday," as long as you get back on track next Monday. But you can't dabble around and muddle around. You're going to find out 4 months later you've gained back 20 pounds, right? So, and I gained I could probably gain 3 pounds during that time. So
I always found for me I'll start again on Monday or something like that. That was like those kind of promises you make yourself, like I'm going to start a business next year or something like that, just making the plan, you feel good about it. You feel like I'm doing something. And that for me, that's what it always was, like I'll start on Monday and it's like, okay, instantly I feel better. Now I've got permission to eat more junk.
Yeah.
So
yes, that's exactly what happens.
Dave and I were talking about it too, and it's the same thing. It's like, I don't mind the carnivore ice cream thing once in a while. And like I said, the cream once in a while, as long as it's within proportion of what you should be taking cream in. Like, what would you put in a coffee if you have, a whole cup of cream? I just think that can be kind of excessive. But it was the same thing. Like, well, I'm going to have some ice cream. So I have some chocolate chips. I'm just going to throw like 5 in there. That's okay. And then the next day it's like, oh, well, my kid had Oreos. So I'm just going to take half an Oreo and crunch it. Well, and the chocolate chips were good. Then pretty soon you're kind of like ramping the whole thing up.
Oh, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
And by the way, that's also, we have carnivore ice cream quite often with just the ice cream, right? And but on occasion I would put blueberries in. Well, yeah, over the holidays, it's like, well, now you put blueberries in every time you have it, right? So instead of on occasion you throw in a few blueberries or shave off some dark chocolate, now it's like throw in blueberries, maybe a little bit of natural peanut butter on top, and and that's but that is the reality of what many people deal with, right? And again, if you're far enough along to where how you're going to react to that and you can deal with that, that's okay, fine, it's perfectly fine. But what happens to so many people, and it's happened to me in the past, was you make a lot of progress, you feel really good about where you are, you deviate just a little bit, and then all of a sudden you're off the rails. That just crushes people emotionally. It just destroys their motivation. They feel like a failure, and now they muddle around for years or two before they ever get back on track. And that's the real trap, right? Whether it's keto snacks or just continuing to go further. And yes, and like you said, Dave, it's I'm going to start again on Monday, or whatever, right? No, it has to be, for me, it has to be pretty hard stop on that stuff. And then, you get back in the groove of things, which normally for me is, 80-90% carnivore.
So did you stay on, Dave, or did you try a couple things or go off? I mean,
No, I've stayed on. Like actually a discussion I was having with someone the other day highlights why I guess it was kind of easy for me to stay on, even though there's temptations around. And it's just like, I know myself, and I know that I'm going to fall off the wagon if I try something. But something that's even bigger than that is this feeling of I just can't be bothered, because I can't be bothered with the preparation and the thinking about how many options I have and all that kind of thing. It's just like if I just stick to the way I'm eating now, everything's easier. Life is just so much easier, and I think that's what probably the stronger pull for me now.
See, and for me, my testing things I do once in a while, and I've mentioned this before, because as of obviously December, I'm 4 years into this. So for me to go, okay, I can have a bite of this, I know that I won't go down any path of doing it. I'm just really curious. And to me, the testing kind of sometimes I actually think is good. And I did a video and I didn't post it up, and I'll do another one maybe. I actually like testing some foods because it takes out all doubt that I'm ever going to like it again. Like having a few chocolate chips, I just don't like the sweet milk chocolate at all. And I know that. Or it's like a bite of a cinnamon roll. I know I don't like it at all, so I don't need to go down there. And it was like the Swedish fish that I did a couple years in a row for Halloween. I know there's no chance. And I've said this too, like I don't need to try all these other foods with it, So the more I've done that, like at my kind of 1 year mark, I'm just like, oh yeah, that's interesting. It's kind of like that homemade pizza we made. I'm like, yeah, that's actually not bad. But I didn't go, oh, well, I might as well just have a slice. I mean, if I keep it to that one bite, I think it's okay. And even like the carnivore ice cream, like my version of it with the collagen is just literally cream, egg yolks, and I do put a bit of vanilla in there just to kick the flavor. And a couple times I put in nutmeg and cinnamon for kind of a flavor for the holidays, for the Christmas thing. I decided to do that when they were having their thing. So I'm still that person that doesn't even use spices. So for me to do that, that was about my biggest off. And I don't think spices are bad. There's a lot of carnivores that eat spices. There's nothing wrong with that.
You don't use pepper either? You don't use any pepper?
No, I don't use pepper.
No,
I just use salt.
Yeah, we
and
use
the
salt
lamb
and
thing
pepper.
I'm still pretty stoked on. I'm not really liking the leg of lamb as much as I am the little lamb chops.
And no rosemary on the lamb. No, nothing. Yeah, okay.
No.
We had lamb at Christmas Eve. We were at one of our daughter and son-in-law's house. We had lamb. She made several things, and his father-in-law, actually, I may have him on my channel. I think I'm going to. He's actually been doing carnivore, and and they don't do carnivore, but they do actually eat pretty healthy, all things considered. But we had predominantly carnivore kind of stuff, and she actually had leg of lamb with rosemary and stuff that she'd made, also some ribs and different stuff, and she makes those without sauce. And so we use spices, but we don't do our keto keto ice cream, carnivore ice cream, whatever you want to call it, is it's egg, heavy whipping cream, vanilla, and some stevia, and then in the ice cream machine, and so
I'll do like a video like yes, but the collagen in it.
I guess, but
if you use the like I just get that one in the blue from Costco when it's on sale, the collagen powder. But when you mix it in there, it's interesting because it's almost like an emulsifier, and then it becomes this like really thick, as you would think, with a whole bunch of collagen. Because I probably put like, way more, like a whole serving size you would have in a full glass and a little bit of cream and stuff. So it's this thick stuff, and then freeze it. And it's actually good because it's got this just interesting thick consistency. So, and again, I'm kind of doing it because the butter and the lamb I've been eating is kind of lean. I think lamb is like 65-35 or something in ratio.
It'll be leaner than
noticed that
ribeye.
It's definitely leaner. Yeah, there goes my flickering again. So I know it's leaner, so I've been kind of upping that fat too. And that's kind of one way that I'm okay with the cream and the dairy. The other thing that I've been doing with all this bone broth is I put some cream in the bone broth, and that was really good. So
I'm not a huge fan of bone broth.
This stuff is good. What's that?
Cream in the bone broth.
Yeah, cream in the
bone broth.
I'm a big fan
really
of cream,
good.
but I'm not a big fan of bone broth.
The lamb bone broth I'm making from scratch is really good. And I'm going to do a video, and I've been recording a couple of times what I'm doing. I'm just basically taking all the little T-bone things and put in the Instant Pot.
Yeah.
Fill it with the water, make it. And it's just got this nice, I've only done it twice with the cream. I'm still just kind of having it normal, but it's a fun treat. If I feel like you can tell, I think you guys can tell, like when you need fat, I can tell when I need to up my fat intake. There's just that craving sense, like, okay, I'm kind of full from all these. Because the other day, like I don't know what it was, 3.5 pounds of lamb, and I was still hungry. I'm like, okay, I think I've just got to up the fat on there. Because that's the funny thing. I can pack away a lot of meat in one sitting.
Yeah.
And I don't really change my weight or anything.
I can't eat 3 pounds of meat in one sitting. I can't eat 3 pounds of meat in one day, hardly.
Yeah.
I could eat 3 pounds of cake back in the day, but not 3 pounds of meat. I mean,
well, I went to the store today to Costco, and I picked up some stuff, some stuff for the family. And then for me, I ended up with, they're kind of small, 3 chuck roasts. And one of them looks like it's going to be good. And it looks like they're the small ones. So they're coming from, I think, the better part. And then a bunch more of those little lamb chops. And this brings me to a good conversation point. A lot of people like, oh, buy a whole cow, and do that because it's really cheap. And I can see doing that. But at the same time, I only really like ribeye and chuck roast and ribs. And I might do more long ribs because they have that at Costco. And I almost picked some up today, and the ribs are like under $5 a pound. But I could do the bone broth, from the rib bones. And any other bones I have, I just throw them in a bag in the freezer till I get enough to fill my Instant Pot. But for how much chuck roast cost on sale, I can buy a whole bunch of chuck roast and then throw in a couple ribeyes, and I'm at an average of about $6 a pound for my meat. And I like it all. And I don't like the roasts, and I don't like all this other lean meat that a whole cow. This is just me. I'm not trying to say it's a bad idea. And the ground I can get for under $3 a pound on sale already. So it's almost cheaper for me just to buy the meat that I love. And the lamb is under $6 a pound. It's like 5 something right now. And it's Australian grass fed, grass raised or whatever.
Yeah.
That's just kind of a thought.
Have you ever done anything like that, Dave? You ever purchased a quarter beef, half beef, or anything?
No, not at all. There's I can barely get 2 pounds of ground beef into my apartment. It's like Japan. Everything's so small in Japan.
See, so that it's actually interesting, Chad, because we have space for that. We have 3 deep freezes, and we didn't. Yeah, actually, we did this last year. We have done multiple times where we would raise 100 meat chickens. We'd get them when they were chicks, raise them up, take them down to a poultry processor that's pretty near us. They just do them. They're like USDA inspected, the whole deal, packaged when they're done. And we sell about half and keep about half. And so we've talked about that, but I'm with you on the issue is that you end up, whether you buy a half or a quarter, or a whole. Now, a whole beef that's a lot of meat, right? I mean, you got to have a lot of space to put a whole cow. But even buying a half, yeah, I would probably rather just buy the ground beef and buy the steak I want, as opposed to, now we eat all that other stuff as well. And my wife will still buy roast. We buy chuck steak or chuck roast. I like ribeye, T-bone, but we just buy ground beef when it's on sale, and we'll cut up the big giant rolls, package them, and freeze them. And the steak's the same way. The thing that's really slowed me down from ever doing that is I don't think it's cheaper. So even if I could buy that cow for $6 a pound or $7 a pound of actual total meat when I'm done, that's not less than what I spend on meat. Because that's we can get ground beef for under $3 a pound as well. And I think Joni just paid for 3 really nice chuck roasts. I think she paid $5.99 a pound. So, the average of that 6 and 3 is obviously $4.50 is the average there between ground beef and chuck roast. Yeah. So if I go buy porterhouse or T-bone or something on occasion, it's crazy, insane amount of money. But if you buy half a cow, you're not getting a lot of that anyway. Right. There's only one section where you're getting T-bone. You're only one section where you're getting the ribeye. Right. And so I don't think it's cheaper. And then if I even if I spend a little more money, I'm just buying what I want, right? As opposed to dealing with everything else.
I got to try the lamb shoulder, because in the last stream, somebody mentioned I forgot who it was, mentioned get lamb shoulder. So I'm still on that mission to get the lamb shoulder kind of thing. For Susie, dry brine, like I've talked about dry brining all the time, where I just salt the meat, put it on a rack, stick it in the fridge. I've been dry brining the chops with smoked salt and then stick them in the fridge. Did some for 1 day and 2 days, and I'm going to try some for 36 hours. And I actually didn't mind the 2-day one and stuff like that. Then I did some leg of lamb like that. But it's really good. So if you're talking about the smoked salt, try to salt up your little lamb chops and stick them on a rack, and then cookie sheet underneath it, and put them in the fridge for a day or 2 and see what you think. I like it that way better. It just dries out the meat. You get a better, yummier crust on the outside and everything else.
So what do you guys do you have any plans or goals for, outside of, getting back to doing some more workouts, but any other goals or things that you're going to tweak or change, or you want to do as you move into the new year?
Let Dave run.
I'll throw one in. I want to finally commit and get an air fryer and try, see what all the hype is about the air fryer.
Yeah,
Start
I
cooking
I
stuff.
used mine for a few weeks.
No good.
That's kind of
Well, I don't know. Is that your only thing before do you have anything else before I give you feedback on the air fryer?
No, that's it.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. I want to try an air fryer.
So here's the thing
too
about
bad
the
you
air
don't live
fryer.
closer. You can come over and borrow mine.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you stop over, Dave, I'll just let you use ours for a while. Just book a flight. Here's the thing about the air fryer. Some stuff, most of the stuff I put in there is good, right? The flavor is good, but I just don't find it any handier. Like you have to get it out, put it on the, somewhere on a counter. You got to hook it up. Depending on what you put in, it's a huge mess, right? I mean, some stuff I suppose would be really good, and what I made in it I liked, but the truth is it easier than just like, frying something? I don't think it is.
My wife and daughter love it for Brussels sprouts and asparagus. They said actually the Brussels are like the best ever.
Yeah.
out
So
of the air
see,
fryer.
that may
So
be
I've
the
had
thing,
that.
but
I do use it
I've
for
never cooked
reheating
vegetables in it.
sometimes. Like when I have a whole leg of lamb and I chop it into pieces and then I have some left for the next day, like I'll just lay foil in the bottom so I don't even have to clean the inside at all. And then just throw it in there and put on the air fryer. And then I use it for that. But I still cook 99% outside and I've got a grill. So I just go turn on the grill or use the carbon steel pans. And I
Yes.
still just prefer grilling over that. And I can see though, like if you lived in a place where you couldn't grill easy or you didn't want the mess, because it does contain the mess. And I do think I don't really eat bacon, but like once every few months. I'm not a bacon eater at all. But I know Dave has a lot of bacon. Like to me,
We eat
like
a
if
lot
you
of
take
bacon.
the bacon and then however long it is, I cut it in half, then cut those in half. So I quarter it, right? And then I just throw the whole pack in there and just keep shaking it around. And I think the bacon is better out of the air fryer than in the pan. I do think that the bacon out of the air fryer is
Interesting.
way better tasting.
Now, Fairlight mentioned that it's
Have all the
great for
greases easy to pour out.
it's great for reheating things, which is true. And also, I am going to try. We have not a huge one, but it's fairly good size. I am going to try a rotisserie chicken in one. So we have a lot. We have a ton of chicken, and I like chicken okay, right? And so not a huge, we eat it, but I'm not a huge fan. So I'm always looking for different ways to do it. So I am going to try a rotisserie chicken in ours soon.
Nice.
I did just get a sous vide. It's in the mail right now.
Oh, nice.
My wife would not go get it because it's snowing.
A lot.
So we're going to try that.
That leg of lamb I just had yesterday. Actually, I just finished it up from a couple of days. I did the sous vide. Karen, congrats on keeping this. I'm just going to say this for the BB&E for the first year. Keep it up.
Yeah,
it'll keep getting better.
We did a chuck roast in just a pot on the stove with a thermometer that I vacuum sealed and put in, and I had to constantly just tweak the heat to keep it in the temperature. Did it for 2 hours. It was pretty good. And then after we seared it, we kind of ripped the chuck eye steak out, and me and my wife split it. And then the roast she put in the crock pot the next day, and it was one of the best roasts like that I've had. It was really awesome. So we're gonna try that. So Chad, do you have anything coming up any things that you're going to try to work on, or you want to try to do?
No, just back to the normal schedule. I mean, I've kind of been just sitting back, enjoying doing nothing with the family, kind of, you know what I mean, thing. And now that they're back to the routine, I'll get back to cranking some videos out and stuff. Because to me, family's still come first, and because the kids are, home, and my daughter's not. She's going back to school and college and stuff. She goes from here, so I still see her, but it's just nice to kind of hang out and do that kind of stuff.
Any changes though on I mean, you're pretty strict on how you eat already, but any
I'm
changes on
pretty
diet or exercise or anything you want to work toward?
No, not at
Yeah.
all. And that's the thing about people need to know. Like when I talk about like testing foods, I mean, I'm literally just testing a couple bites and back. I'm a pretty strict. I'm really the only thing I still eat is cheese, but it's just the hard Parmesan, and it's just because of my gallbladder. And I try to stop that again, and it's not TMI. It's not worth it for me. So I
Yeah.
keep eating that. Otherwise, I'm just salt, meat, and stuff. And then I don't mind a little bit of dairy, and I do okay with the dairy.
Yeah.
Try it. It's actually good. If you're okay with cream and you're not in a position. Here's the one thing I do want to say. I've said this before. If you've got a problem and you're not losing weight, and I think Dave and Chuck are going to agree, don't do a whole bunch of dairy and a whole bunch of cheese. If you're like, oh, I'm stalling, I can't lose the weight, I don't do this, oh, I can't, don't do it. But if you're fine with it, I don't have any problem with it. But I think a lot of people who are trying to lose the weight need to be careful about eating too much cheese because it is very addictive and it is hard to, get away from. But yeah, it's good in there. And I would say I just put about, I have a 16 ounces. They're just the freezing ball mason jars that you can freeze, with the straight walls. And then I just stick the whole thing in the microwave. So I'm having 16 ounces of it when I have it. And all I do in mine is the bones and smoked salt, and then a bunch of regular pink Himalayan salt because the mineral content will be higher. And the smoked salt just adds a little more flavor. So I don't add any kind of garlic or seasoning or, onion powder or anything to it. It's just straight.
Yeah, straight bone broth.
Nice.
Yeah.
Chuck, how about you, goals wise?
The biggest thing for me is I've been at my goal weight now for quite some time. So, well, I'm about 2-3 pounds above that right now, but I really do want to get back on track with doing some muscle. This year coming up, what I really want to work on, I hope that I do work on it, because last year has been pretty on and off, mostly off, is getting some better body composition. So I really do need to lose 10 pounds of fat and gain 10 pounds of muscle, but maintain my current weight. I mean, that really is, that's the thing I need to do. I'll be turning 60 in July. So, I really, building muscle is one of the things that you can lose weight at any time. People say it gets harder as you get older. It probably does. But here's the deal with building muscle. The amount of muscle you can build at 30 is incredibly different than the amount you can build at 60 in the same amount of time. I mean, wildly different, right? And eventually you hit an age where it becomes extremely difficult to actually add significant amounts of muscle. So maintaining it is one thing, but adding it becomes more difficult. And, it better late than never if you're starting, but there does come a point where it becomes increasingly difficult. And also the importance of it is actually goes up all the time, right? The fact that most of the people that fall when they're elderly fall because they do not have the strength to actually catch themselves when they stumble, right? And so, I want to live to be well over 100, and I don't want to be crippled up because I can't, I don't have any muscle, right? So it's one of the things that I really want to do.
I haven't heard too much about the farmers walking off the land because they can't. I know some stuff is subsidized and stuff. That's the thing that makes me mad about. They should just be free market, Everybody should be able to sell their lambs from their farm and have no. But I do like the lamb. And now here's the interesting thing. I've had grass-fed beef before, and I've gone on a mission with grass-fed beef, and I've noticed no difference. The lamb I'm doing better on. I've mentioned that before. I just feel better. Everything else, I have less histamine response, less response to that. And I don't know if it's really the grass-fed or the lamb itself is different, or the fact that they don't age lamb the same. Because I know the halal thing, like the lamb can be very fresh, and they don't do like in the cryovac for meat, 30, 60 days aging and stuff like wet aging is what they call the meat. And the lamb, they don't do that. So I don't know. I can't afford fresh cow meat from a local. I just can't afford it, because it's like $20 a pound. So but it's working, which is interesting. Here's one for you, Dave. We've talked about that, the Costco Japan. You just got to
Costco here,
like,
but
you just got to buy a big freezer and stick it in your living room, dude, and just go, here we go, honey.
I need to put something on the balcony. But I mean, like I joked before about the 2 pounds of ground beef, but yeah, bringing 2 pounds of ground beef home, Japanese people are looking at me like I've been out hunting. It's
Really.
That's like when it was on sale at Safeway, and the guy's like, "I'm like, do you have any more back there?" The ground beef, it was on sale for like $2.69, and he's kind of that, and I'm just asking, how much can I get? He's like, well, how much do you want? And I go, how about 100 pounds? And he was just like, well, I got to save some for the other people. And I'm like, well, then what can you give me? And I think he gave me like 30 pounds or something, but it is funny when,
nice.
I think he was waiting for like 5 pounds or something.
Hey, I have a question. When I type in the comments, that's actually going to every page, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
It should be. Yeah.
Tanya asked where I was from, and so I just put in there Central Missouri, but I wasn't sure. That's what I thought as well. Wherever it's being streamed, my comments are. Just so everybody knows, if you're watching this live stream from one of our pages and it's on all of them,
I don't think it goes to mine. I think it just goes to yours.
Really? Okay, so
I think
it's one of the things that's a bit confusing. If you're watching this from my page, I know at least a couple of you are, and you type in a comment, we all three can see the comment here on the side, but you cannot see everyone else's comments if they happen to be at Dave's page or Chad's page
or my page.
Comments there. So,
yeah.
Anyway, I am from Central Missouri, Tanya, and hopefully that's how you pronounce your name. And I live in the middle of nowhere. I really do. So, somebody said they didn't see Chuck's reply. So, I've been typing hello. I've been typing in the chat saying hi to everybody, and nobody can see it.
I usually type hello. I just like to say it, hello. Or for the Happy New Year, Hale Makahiki Ho, the Hawaiian side.
Yes, Carnivore Ron also lives in Southwest Missouri. Carnivore Ron, by the way, has built a ton of muscle over the course of about 3 to 5 years, and I believe Ron is 71 right now, maybe 72.
Yeah.
He works out. He lives in the gym.
Thanks. See, and I don't ever want to get, maybe when I was young, I would have wanted to get big like Baker, Chafee, or those, you know what I mean? But I don't want to get, I want to have a hiking, bicycle, lean body. I mean, I want to stay in my 5'11" frame. I want to stay in that 170 up or down a bit range.
Yeah.
I think that's more the norm kind of thing. And I think
I have aspirations to be like that, but then I think, but then it's work to maintain it. So that's, where it falls down.
Yeah, that's true. Because that's it. It takes as much to maintain it eventually as anything else. Thank you, Mama Cracker, by the way. Mama Cracker. It's just, I read your name earlier. I hadn't pronounced it. So when I said it out loud, it's like Mama Cracker. Thanks for hopping over to the channel and hitting like.
Yeah. So the sleuth, the sous vide and cast iron, I do that, but I like carbon steel pans like Debouillet or Matt for pans. But yeah, I love that.
Yeah, we just use cast iron. And when I say we, I mean my wife.
Yep. Yeah, see the meat on sale for me, ground 80/20 is like $2.79. Yeah, I do most of my cooking. I just do my cooking.
I come online and talk about what we cook and what we make and all that kind of stuff. And people think, oh, you must do a lot of stuff. Yes. My wife, she was on here earlier. So that was By the way, Chad, that was Joan. So she's in the other
you're
room
welcome.
watching. So she's going to be making bone broth cream in soon, I'm sure. So when I say
like it,
we
man.
cook,
It's good.
Joni cooks
Yeah.
predominantly. I do make the ice cream though. So I tell her I cook for her all the time, and she says, cooking or ice cream is not cooking. So yes,
Yeah.
at Breaking Thin.
At Breaking Thin.
Exercise, strength, and movement. The other thing about falling, that's the one thing I like about the hiking I've been doing, is it's very rough in the desert. It's like it's quite rocky and there's a lot of pretty treachery. I kind of push it too. But I like that because I know it's keeping me on my toes, if you will.
Mm.
Yes.
Because it's like watching Dave's jumping off the stair video. It's true though. You want to be able to do that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking about jumping off the back of my truck. I think the last time or two that we were on. That's something I would have never done not that long ago. So
it's awesome to be so flexible. Like just you lose it for 10, 20, 30 years and then it comes back just by changing your diet. It's pretty awesome.
I didn't see Chuck's reply. Is that on the
yeah, I think it's because they're just on. If they're not on my page, they don't see all the comments.
Usually on the live stream from whoever you have it, we usually link everybody's channels, the in the other comments there. So you'll be able to get it from whoever you're watching. That's for sure. Yeah, we're really good about hit the like button. Say this now at almost the end.
Hit the like button.
It's like hit the like button. Smash that like button. See, every time I'm seeing this Chuck, I'm thinking about Chuck roast.
Yeah, because see, and that's
in my head, I keep getting this Chuck. Oh yeah, I've got Chuck in the.
Actually, I'm reading the comments and now I'm laughing. It's terrible. Susie Underwood did just put up a comment about Chuck, and she's talking about Chuck steak. And I'm just glancing over and talking and typing, and so I flip over there, and it's like it says Chuck Angus, but that's not what I read when I first looked over there.
Hey,
so,
Ron, how tall are you? That's what I'm curious too. For a carnivore, Ron
imagination on what I thought it said.
If he's hanging around, yeah, he's got a good channel. Not to keep yapping, but other people who don't subscribe to him, that DC Learning's here too. We're also the type too. If you've got a channel, feel free to put it in the comments for the other people.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Because I think a lot of us kind of know each other, which is fun. We get frozen hamburger patties checked. Yeah, that's the ones. Here's the funny thing about the frozen hamburger patties. I saw somebody doing a video where they had grass-fed, grass-finished, whatever. But they were also the Wagyu. And I haven't seen those at ours. I get the grass-fed ones all the time just because I might as well. And I like the flavor better. But the Wagyu ones would be interesting. But I haven't seen those at ours.
Ron's 5'8". By the way, Ron, when he first started doing carnivore, he got down to 100. And I want to think, I think I recall from when we spoke, 140 pounds until he started working out. And I don't know I think the last time I spoke with you, Ron, you had not broke the 160 mark. But basically, he added back 20 pounds of lean mass once he began to work out.
Yeah. So. The sprints are awesome. Sean O'Mara, we were talking about that before the show. He's a big pushing the sprinting thing.
And I'm really I'm on board with that thought. I've watched a number of his videos. I know some of you guys probably have. He really does show some pretty good examples of the fact that how that builds muscle almost everywhere in your body, right? Actually sprinting and not, just doing those sprints 3-4 times a week, that you actually build substantial amounts of muscle. And he thinks it's one of the very best ways to get rid of visceral fat, which is a good thing. So.
Whenever I see the Chicken Little name, I always think, boy, I said, boy, the old Chicken Little cartoons of the guy. That's what I always think of.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was his
Boy,
name?
I said,
Was
boy.
that Foghorn
That was
Leghorn?
Chicken.
Yes, that's
Foghorn Leghorn. Yeah. That's what
Foghorn
goes through
Leghorn,
my
yeah, that's
head, though. You
exactly
know how like certain things trigger something, and that's what always
Yeah. So hey, Paul.
restarted the carnivore kit. Yeah, I don't see. I can't do eggs, so I don't really. The BBBE doesn't. I did do eggs in the first year because I didn't know I was allergic to them because I already had enough aches and pains, especially the first 6 months, that I didn't notice any difference. But now I notice I get itchy skin and a gut ache if I eat eggs, which is too bad because I
Really?
love them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can eat the
Yeah,
yolks.
we have a lot
though,
of
and I'll eat
eggs.
the yolks.
Because we have hens, so
Yeah,
we cook a lot of eggs here. I mean, my wife.
bad singing.
I'm not sure if she's still on. My Tiona's daughters are in the chat, so Joni was earlier. She may not.
I think
be.
so. That was just. I did a Mara sprint regime last summer. It was fun. I do the sprinting on the elliptical, and it just destroys me. That's what I've been doing. Is I will do the sprinting on the elliptical. The problem, I don't have any grass anywhere near me, and the rocks behind the house are just. They're like razor blades on edge and stuff. Like the desert. I don't really want to sprint in the desert and fall. And I don't want to do it on the pavement either. So I'm kind of stuck unless I drove to a park. But the
You don't have
sprinting is
a you
good.
don't have a lawn at your in your garden. You
Lawns
can just
don't
run in
exist.
circles.
Yeah.
Run
No.
in
Lawns don't exist in
I
Arizona.
have a little bit of
or
a side
not in
yard that's
Phoenix.
astroturf or whatever, artificial grass, but it's not short enough. It's too short to.
What I lived out there, Dave, many years ago, and in the nice parts outside of Phoenix, you get down into places like Scottsdale and stuff like that. The nicest neighborhoods out there, when you drive down through them, the front lawns at that time were all landscaped with rock.
Yeah.
So there's not even dirt. It's literally rock with some, a cactus
Gravel
growing,
and rocks and
some just all
There-
and then in the
Wow.
backyard, there's this little bitty fenced in section. And if they water it constantly, they can grow some grass. But now
we had grass.
based on, I don't even know if they have water restrictions. They cut back on
They're
that.
trying to
I don't
get
know
people to cut it out, and we had grass, but we took it out because it's
hard to
it's just
maintain.
a pain to maintain, and you got to switch the grass for the high whatever it is, this other kind of Bermuda grass, whatever grows in the high heat, and
Yeah.
so we just put in the xeriscaping and have it that
Hey,
way. This is
okay.
good.
I was gonna say real quick, click up that
Austin,
Steve,
BC. By the way, my wife is from Canada, from Vancouver. Just gonna throw that out there.
congratulations, Steve, on getting started. And here's the thing: this is my thought on calories, which the guys can jump in really quickly as well afterwards if they like. Calories are irrelevant. The body does not care or know what a calorie is. Eat until you are full, and eat when you're hungry, and make sure you eat plenty of fat. When I'm not eating crap during the holidays, I eat way less than what most people think that I should eat, probably, because unlike Chad, I can't eat 3 pounds of beef. So I'm only 5'6". I weigh about 155. My wife is smaller than me by a fair amount, and she still eats more than I do when I'm really eating pretty strictly carnivore, right? But you will get to a point to where you'll stop losing weight eventually. Eat, and the biggest thing is eat good food, eat until you're full, and eat when you're hungry. That's the deal. You'll get enough, right?
100%.
Yeah. You can undereat and you can overeat. You can do both, but you'll know, because if you're hungry, you eat. And if you're not hungry, you don't eat. So that overeating, undereating is kind of tough. People aren't used to eating this much nutrient dense food. So if anything, some women tend to undereat. This is what I hear from a lot of women. And I think the overeating is actually really hard. And other people will say for your first 3 months, don't worry about what your weight is. worry about how you feel. Worry about how your joints feel, how things are feeling and stuff like that. And are you just feeling better mentally, more clarity, everything else? And the weight tends to kind of work itself out. And some people do kind of have like a long period. Some people just start burning off the weight right away. I'm not sure what the handicap is, if it's like, wheelchair bound or something else too. So that, you know what I mean? I'm obviously have no experience in that. But at the same point, the calories thing, it's about nutrients. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And it's getting, I'm sure you've heard enough carnivores now. It's about getting enough fat. It's not that you need so much like some people, but anywhere in that 70 up or down a little bit, kind of thing, which tends to be like a ribeye. Ribeye in itself is almost like a perfect balance. Chuck steak is almost a perfect balance.
Yeah. I think one of the reasons people do undereat is because they've come out of years and decades of the whole notion of counting calories, portion control, all of that kind of stuff. And then they think, okay, well, I can't eat now, or I have to stop because, the whole notion of just eat till you're not hungry.
Yeah.
I don't eat till I'm not hungry. I eat until I can't put another piece of bacon in my mouth. Right. And so that's, I would say, definitely eat when you're hungry. Don't worry about, if you don't think you're getting enough calories, don't worry about intermittent fasting. Don't worry about anything when you get started. If you're hungry enough to eat a meal and eat until you're full. Right.
Yeah.
And I mean full. And then when you get hungry, eat again. Right. You'll get enough. Your body doesn't tell you it's hungry because it wants calories. It tells you it's hungry because it wants nutrients. And as long as you get enough, your body will be happy. Now, it takes a little bit of time to get that sorted out, right? That's absolutely true. You'll have to learn about hunger signals change radically when you're not eating carbs. They did for me. So, you might not have an appetite, like a craving to eat something, but you'll get there. You'll get to where you realize, yeah, I feel like I need to eat, not because you're craving something, right? That kind of happens.
I'll hit this question really quickly. This is straight even from Dr. Chavy, and I know this already too from a little bit of my background. How do you know bowel movements are probably the biggest thing? If they're too loose and ripping out of you, you've probably got too much fat that's running through you. And while you might not have them as consistent on carnivore, if they're getting really hard to pass and really hard, that's probably add some fat. And I think after a while, you just kind of get a feel. So that's going to be the biggest thing that your body is telling you are the bowel movements, if they're going to be either too hard, too soft kind of thing.
I
That's the biggest.
Once you get in a certain length of time, you'll kind of know how you feel and you can experiment some. But in the beginning, it's much harder to just kind of know, yeah, I need a little more fat or I need a little less fat. But yeah, obviously that's what Chad said is what a number of people have said as well. That's a good way to kind of get a feel. But later on, you'll just kind of have a feeling like, my wife likes more fat and she puts more and she feels better when she does that. So, hey, we're coming up on too. Yes, I know that Dave.
I want to kind of hit a couple of these.
Pretty hard to stop. So
the hamburgers and protein fat ribeyes. The one thing is, if you cook them on a grill and it goes through, then you don't have quite as much. So there is that kind of balance sometimes of throwing some back in on hamburgers if you do grill them in a pan and you can pour the drippings back over. But you get the hang of it. It's like anything you do. Yeah. Yep. But yeah, I know Dave's got a hard stop, and
Dave's mine wasn't quite as hard as Dave's, but I do have to go as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I might just sign out then, guys. Look, thank you so much. Good to be on with you, and looking forward to the next one. Cheers.
Thanks, Dave. I appreciate it. Talk to you soon.
See ya.
Yep. So yeah,
pour the drippings back on. Someone posted chapstick. Yes, my wife actually takes what's left in the skillet, whether it's steak or ground beef. She cooks those in butter, sometimes bacon grease, but normally butter. And she will actually take that and put back on top of hers, usually a little on mine, I don't like as much as her, and she'll put that right on hers. And if there's not enough, she'll melt some more butter in the drippings and like brown it up a little bit,
See,
pour it on top of her hamburger or steak, and
I can't
she
do
loves it
that.
like that. Yeah, you can't
I
do
can't
that.
do
Yeah.
that. It just destroys me with no gallbladder. But I can
Yeah.
eat, like if I cook my steak, I like it blue or extremely rare. So if my fat's like white and still cold, I can eat it that way and I'm fine. And I can eat some butter if I kind of space it out. Like I
Yeah.
can't just gnaw on a whole bunch if I need the extra fat. So
All right. Any final
yeah,
questions for me? I am
I
not
think
quite
I'm gonna sign
hard
off
break
too then.
as Dave, but butter on hamburger is delicious. Yes, it's the thing. I like my stuff cooked in butter, eggs, hamburger, steaks, seared, but I like the flavor, but I don't like it excessive. Like I don't put it on the hamburger after it's cooked, but I like it cooked in butter. My wife puts it on top. So,
See, I just usually take some, like if I'm having my lamb chops and I know I need more, I'll either, like I said, have a little bit of cream or something, or I'll just take like a chunk of butter and have like a bite every once in a while. And that works for me.
yeah.
But only when I know it's low. And that's why, I'll try to balance it with other stuff. Otherwise, I don't really believe you need to eat butter just to eat butter. If you're eating, like if I eat a bunch of ribeye, I don't need to eat butter.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did in the beginning and it helped. But
yeah. 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 I think that
again,
everybody is slightly different, but I do think
Yeah.
women tend to do better with a little more fat. So a lot of times that is what, in my wife's case, I know there's a number of other ladies in the carnivore space that talk about that. They actually do pretty high levels of fat and they feel much better doing that. So, but again, a lot of them
yeah, it all varies.
they're already into the, kind of eating this way for,
There's
sometimes multiple years. So their bodies got to that place where they really fully adjusted and they kind of have a feel for.
Yeah.
what
And there's
works.
one gal I know that like thrives on New York kind of fat amounts, which is probably like in the 60, 65.
Yes,
And she's
which
in
is
insane shape and younger.
yeah, exactly.
And that's what, and so everybody has their own, again, it's your own journey. You got to find it.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid that it's going to vary. Like I varied radically. Like I go through phases where, like in the beginning, when I had a lot of fat, I still ate way more fat. And then for a while, I went through another phase where I could tell I was literally going through like 6 ounces of butter with my meal. And then I got away from it completely where I wasn't doing anything extra.
Yeah.
So it really does vary.
Yeah. Thank you, Chapstick. Greatly appreciate it. Glad. Yeah. I wouldn't be afraid about losing. By the way, the initial weight that most people lose when they go to real whole food keto or carnivore or something in the middle is the body retains a huge amount of water because the carbohydrates and the other inflammation that kind of stuff, seed oils and those kind of things cause, right? We carry way more water than what we need to initially. And a lot of people drop that pretty rapidly if they move into a pretty strict carnivore.
When I was losing weight, like I said, I lost over 100 pounds. I think like my best month, if you want to call it best month or the most in the month, was about 20 pounds. And then after I started getting down to where I'm at, I'm 5'11". I quit looking at the scale at 275, so I don't know what I went over, and I'm basically like call it 175 to 180 now. But it was in the same percentage. So as I lost 20 pounds, the next month it was like 18, 17. The next month it was 15, because that percentage. But I was losing the same percentage of body fat that I lost until. That last 20 pounds, though, took a lot longer to get off.
Yeah, it slows down quite a bit. And that's
because that percentage, if you're down there where you need to be and you only need to lose 15 pounds, that's not a lot to play with. When you've got to lose over 100, that's a lot of weight.
And certainly that's the way I was as well. When I first started, I lost much larger amounts of weight. We weighed about the same as at our max weight, Chad, but I'm significantly shorter than you. I'm only 5'6".
Yeah.
And, but yes, dropping down even to, from even at the 250, 230 range, still dropping 10, 12, 15 pounds a month was not that much. But I pretty quickly moved to where it would be about 8 pounds a month for me pretty consistently until I got down to, the 175 range. It really began to slow. Like you said, the last 20 pounds really slowed down.
Slow down.
And eventually, I got down to about 151 was my lightest. And I'm about 155, 156 right now. 155 is where I want to be.
So Sodivore, I used to call myself a pastivorian. That's what I used to use the word, pastivorian. I was a pastivorian.
13 pounds last week. Yeah, as long as you're eating until you're full and not skipping meals, I wouldn't worry. I wouldn't worry about that. I really
and
wouldn't.
What's interesting, I don't know exactly how much you have to lose and how much you plan on and where you're at. There's some people that are about maybe my age or sometimes younger, and there's a couple people that are, on YouTube and stuff that are men like me who lost about the same amount of weight, like Chuck lost about the same amount of weight. And this brings us to the loose skin. Like some people will have more, some people will have less. And I don't know what it is. It's just, I think our genetics and how we're predisposed. And I don't know if I really don't know, because there's no way to test it. If it is, like, I had a lot of collagen the whole time for a year. I hedged my bets and I had a ton of collagen because I've heard that helps. I also did OMAD, but I never did any long fasts. So I don't know if that stuff helps, but I figure kind of like, it can't hurt. So might as well do it. I'm actually back on the collagen kick again. So I'm having a lot of collagen besides in the bone broth that I make. I've bought it because it was on sale. So I've been having, at least the powdered stuff or the regular. And on the days I have the other bone broth, I'm still having sometimes some of the collagen out of the powder. Yeah. And I do think I do better on that.
So 120 is what I've lost, Chapstick, from my heaviest, about 120 pounds. So, and you will drop a good portion of that initially pretty quickly, especially if you stay pretty consistent to, to carnivore or, ketovore at minimum, and really watch what you're eating. But congratulations on starting, and stick with it. Come back in or hit our channels. Let us know how you're doing, or drop back in and
stay in tune.
When we were back together live, or just I love to hear the comments that people leave, and I love to hear the updates. So, all right, I've got to run.
Yep, I'm gonna run too. Get some stuff going. Anyway, thank you so much, everybody.
Yes, thank you, everyone. Greatly appreciate you spending time with us and your kind words.
A hooey ho.
So really do. So thanks, guys.